Well, they can use a little wind about now. Um, all of that is what's left after the last series of bombing. I'm going to take a look at the chats and see if anything is going on. Um, for a while there, the chats were just booming with mirroring of Gaza and this war. But they've seemed to die down. It was just another explosion. Maybe this reality is getting too much for them. After all, they're peace lovers, and they were following this when it first started. But maybe the war is lasting too long for them. And in the chats, if it lasts too long, they move on. There's got to be something new happening, and if it isn't, then they move on. That's just the way the chats are, and that's pretty much the way the world is. But I don't see too much going on. The chats are still, and I'm pretty much just keeping my eye on the chats that I have on my site. That pretty much they keep an eye on most everything. That was a lot of bombing. I'm just kind of scanning here. I'll turn some volume off this and I'll take a look and see what this particular room is monitoring, and see if they're monitoring the fighting at all. And they have several cameras.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
You get stuck with a commercial. I'm really not in the mood for commercials. But that's one of the problems, if you're mirroring and you try to monitor other channels, you've got to listen to a commercial first. So this is Reuters that we're rebroadcasting from. I call it mirroring. I imagine other professionals would call it rebroadcasting. They'll probably quit doing that, but I'm mirroring Reuters now, and they're showing parts of Gaza that I haven't seen in the past, and there just went another explosion. And probably documenting what may not be here pretty soon. There may not be some of these nicer buildings that are moved back. They used to just show, yeah, that happened right behind there. They used to just show the kind of what looked like the old world. And now they're showing more modern areas in Gaza. And there are probably some people in Gaza that have some money, and they better wake up, or they probably moved on. And they probably come to an agreement with Israel to move on. And they've also probably come to an agreement with Israel that Hamas doesn't represent them. So I would say that they didn't make their fortune in Gaza, that they live in Gaza or have a building or a place or an apartment in Gaza. To me, this reminds me, if you go to Gaza or Israel, you're not going to make a fortune. You're going there to practice your religion. That's what it reminds me of. There may be a way to make money in Israel, but I think you better have some before you get there. I don't know. I'm just guessing along that lines, but this is the first time I've seen modern buildings, and right now there's only 3 of them that I could see. The rest look like older buildings. but a bomb had just went off just behind that one building that we see to the left there, the tallest one. I don't know how far Israel is going to come in to Gaza. They may just decide to flatten it all. But the chats aren't really alive with conversation about this. Like I said, a lot of these people will heat up and cool down. And it's conversation. The world is not getting excited about this. Possibly because, it's like chasing a gang into a neighborhood that doesn't want them to be there. That's what it might be. And while they were able to establish themselves in some of these what looks to be older neighborhoods, they are moving into, maybe this is Gaza proper, where the elite or the oligarchs of Gaza live and have property. I don't even know if you can buy property in Gaza. I don't know how this whole system works. If you buy property, who do you buy it from? Do they pay taxes? I don't know how this whole system even works. If they pay taxes, who gets the money? Does the main government of Gaza have to pay to Israel? I don't know how this all works. But, in America, if you have a state, you pay taxes to the federal government. And the federal government is where we get our armies and our Congress and, the stuff that runs the country. So does Gaza pay taxes? And who do they pay taxes to? Where do they get their water from? I just heard earlier that they took out their power plant, so they have a power plant, but is it a substation? Does the power come in from Israel? I don't see any solar. I don't see any coal plants. I don't see any way to generate power other than it coming from Israel. So a lot of this, may not have to be bombed. They could just shut the power off in these substations. But if Hamas has moved into the power stations and is firing rockets from the power stations, well, yeah, the power station would get hit. And from all of the chatter down below, I would say that this Reuters camera is sitting above the hospital. I tried to open up another camera that used to sit on top of the hospital, but they're down. They have been down. Maybe they'll come up later when Reuters goes down. Maybe they're switching off. Reuters will do it this time of day, and then AA Global TV will take it another time. But the air is clearer here, and if he panned to his right, it's just filled with smoke from the last bombing. And you can hear the bombing. I'm sure that camera is going to be panning to that bombing here shortly, if we're able to see it. They may be bombing in an area that we can't even see the smoke yet. But I'm going to go ahead and open up a tab, and yeah, that's the part that always gets me, that no matter what, they pray. That's devotion. If no matter what, pray. It ain't even when all things fail, pray. It's pray no matter what. And like I said, to me, this could be part of their problem. Is, when you think that your way is the only way, that's a big problem. If you can't be tolerant of other people, if you enslave your own people in the name of your God, that's a problem. You're not long for this world. You're not long for a society that tolerates. Does Israel tolerate? I think it does. People from all over the world go there and live there. And there is more than the Jewish religion in Israel. There's more than one religion in Gaza, as far as I know. But then again, I just hear it like there are people, like there's Christian people, there's Jewish people. But do they worship the Christian God and the Jewish God? I don't know. It pretty much seems that the channels that are actually interested, whether you like them or not, in news, are covering this. I'd like to be able to open it with that. There, I've got it open now. And without it, well, it's going to force us to watch a commercial.
At IKEA, we don't just
audio down because of the commercials. And the audio is back up now. And I'm going to record this because these are parts of Gaza that we haven't really been seeing. You know, we've been seeing some of the architecture that looked to be pretty old, and this architecture here is what seems to be pretty new. How new? You know, even within the past 64 years would be refreshing than some of the other architecture that we're seeing that makes Gaza look like a prison, that makes Gaza look like what they say it is, an open prison. I don't think it's an open prison. I think it's a reservation. I think it's a stronghold for Hamas and any other radical group that wants to attack Israel are probably working their way in through them tunnels that Israel is trying to destroy. And if you can get a man in, you can get a rocket in. And they probably figured out a way. Is Egypt doing anything to stop weapons from coming into Gaza? I don't know. I don't know how Egypt feels about Israel. I'm sure there's groups in Egypt that feel that Israel should be destroyed. But I would think the people who build these kind of buildings here aren't thinking that way. I just feel that Hamas is catering to the poor and simple-minded, and the spineless, people who feel that their life is more important than their family and children. So they allow Hamas to do what it's doing. Like I said, there is the only attack that I even hear of against Hamas is coming from Israel. Is Israel even trying to recruit people from Gaza to help them get rid of Hamas? They could be. I would be. But then again, Israel can't trust anybody from Gaza. Usually when Reuters does this, they're changing locations. They're changing their cameras. So we'll give them a few before I try to turn it back on. And we'll see what they're doing. Like I said, usually they're changing cameras. Nope, they didn't change cameras. We just lost the feed for a minute. But what you see in the background is Gaza burning. Well, I am going to go take a break because somebody somewhere is recording this. I'm recording it for my own use in the future. I have a lot of hours, many hours of this with me voicing over, and with some just I'm playing the blues, and with some no audio at all. Some of the sunsets here were very nice, and I recorded those. So I'm going to take a break, and you have a good day. Talk to you later.